welcome to another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. Whether you're joining us from the north, or the east, the west, or anywhere in between in Dominica, it is great to be back with you for another episode of Roots Connections as we continue to explore the ever perennial question: how do we advance Dominica, and what role each one of us can play with this mission? As we continue to see the threats to the CBI program, we must also continue to ask, where do we go from here with regards to securing the financial future of Dominica when the CBI program is no more? So as always on Roots Connections, we are here with you to navigate the world where change is the only constant. And I think every day we are seeing more and more example of how change is impacting our lives, and where we are looking to turn our passion for Dominica into action for Dominica. We continue to pray for our country and all the challenges and battles that it continues to face. And this evening in particular, we pray for all the hands who are doing the work, because the premise of this program, we talk a lot about what should be done, but the premise of this program is to feature and spotlight the people, the projects, the initiatives, what is currently being done to move Dominica forward. So I want to say a very special good evening to the International Federation of Business and Professional Women, who had their recognition ceremony. They honored about 30 of our Dominican women in our community for their commitment to the development of their particular area. And I'm very excited because I will be awarded next year. And I'm so grateful for the award. But like I said during the Facebook post that I made, so many of us who are recognized for the work that we do, we don't do it for the recognition. We don't do it for rewards. We do it because we see a need. And rather than saying that something should be done about the situation, we say instead, I will do something about this situation. So this is what this program is about. What are we willing to do to move our country forward? So again, welcome to Roots Connections on Q. This is episode number 52 for today, Wednesday, August 9th. Ooh, I'm moving ahead of the month. So for today, Wednesday, August 9th, 2023, and I am your host, Simone Mathieu. You already know this is our number one program for featuring the people, the organizations, the new and ongoing projects and initiatives which are geared towards moving Dominica forward, especially as it relates to securing financial opportunities for our brothers and sisters. So we have a very packed program for you this evening as we look at the serious scrutiny which is threatening the collapse of the CBI program. And we must continue to ask, what is the way forward for growing Dominica's economy beyond relying on the CBI program, which, as many of us know, is up to 58% of our GDP. So that is certainly a scary position to be in when we think that the CBI contributes to 58% of our economy. So what is the way forward? A special thank you continue to everyone who continues to WhatsApp me and send me messages. And this evening we are joined by Mr. Adrien Bannis. He is one such person who reached out to me to say, hey, here is what I am doing. So I am looking forward to hearing from everyone who is currently working on a project, an initiative that will in some way move Dominica forward. And you can always reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com, pushpast10@gmail.com. And I will be sure to repeat that information at the end of the program, because we have to face it. It is all of us working together that will finally move our country forward. So let us welcome our guests to the program this evening. Again, we are joined by Mr. Adrien Bannis. I think To many of us, his name is familiar. So let us invite him to the program as he tells us a little bit about himself. And of course, this being Roots Connections, he has to tell us where he is from in Dominica. So, Mr. Bannis, thank you so much for connecting with me and for being on the program this evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. I'm great. Praise God.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Right. Good evening to everybody. Good evening to all those of you listening. It's really a pleasure to be on your program. Thank you very much for inviting me. My name, as Simone said, is Adrien Bannis. I'm from the village of Casablanca, the beautiful village on the East Coast, and I am really in the agricultural belt. Okay. I am also a pastor. I pastor some young people, and I'm really looking forward to grow them, not just teaching them to go to heaven, but also encouraging them and building them so they can live on earth and have a sustainable life here on earth. Because most times, what has happened, we have tried to teach people to go to heaven alone, and we
Mhm.
have never taught people to be strong, to be able to get to invest, to get involved in our community development, and really changing the whole dynamics of what we learned before,
Right.
which is now I'm beginning to recognize that the Word of God is bigger than what we are teaching. Also, I'm an entrepreneur. As you know, I'm involved in doing plantain chips, breadfruit chips, banana chips. I also do other products. I'm trying to get back into the coconut oil because when Maria came, Maria destroyed all our coconuts. So we are
Hmm.
just trying to bounce back. And I'm looking forward to go into breadfruit flour and cassava flour, sweet potato flour, dashing flour, which is very, very, very nice. So all in all, I also want to share my experiences, share my knowledge, and see how we can come together as a people to develop agriculture in Dominica.
Yes. Yes. So as you can tell, we have a lot to go through this evening. We have a lot to cover. So I am really grateful that you're here to share with us your experience, your expertise, and how you're using it for the benefit and the advancement of Dominica. And also, we are grateful for our audience who keep it locked to Q95 on Q95DA.com. We are also live on Facebook at Q95 FM Radio, as well as Push Past 10, and also on YouTube on Q95 FM radio. So many ways to connect with us this evening and to post your comments. I see Anthony Simon, you are here. Great to have you on board. Thank you, everyone who will join us this evening. Don't forget to share the live. Let everyone know that we are here. And again, for the best in daily programming, Q95DA.com is where you will want to catch our live programs as well as any programs you may have missed. For example, our last episode of Roots Connections, we talked about gospel calypso, new opportunities for international collaboration to extend the reach of our music. So again, another project geared towards moving Dominica forward. We are certainly grateful for you, Lambi showing DJ Shan in the background. Mr. G, thank you for having us on this platform every second and fourth Wednesday as we continue to tap into our Dominican experts at home and abroad to move our country forward. So as we continue to talk about investing in me, investing in us in 2023, we continue to focus on building that strategic plan, building the human capacity to move our country together. So if you're just joining us, thank you and welcome aboard. We are talking about with the CBI program and the serious threat of collapsing. What is the way forward for growing Dominica's economy? So here is where I want to get this conversation begin, Mr. Bannis. We recently witnessed the presentation of the budget in Dominica, the 2023 budget. And someone can correct me if I am wrong, but what I did not hear was a long term plan for developing Dominica's economy. As a matter of fact, Ronald Lander, I listened to a program with Ronald last week, and he called it an integrated development plan for growing Dominica's economy. So, Ronald, thank you. You know, that is what we do here on Q95. We educate our audience. So, Ronald, thank you for that terminology. So, an integrated development plan for growing Dominica beyond that 1 year reading of the budget that we heard last week. So, my thought process is to look at all that you are doing, Mr. Bannis, and to create that integrated development plan beyond the 1 year, and instead create a vision of how everything that you're doing can be put into a plan for moving Dominica forward. So let us begin with agriculture, because that is the base of our economy in Dominica, with our lush soil, our sunshine, our abundance of water. That should be at the core of any development plan in Dominica. So tell us about your business in agriculture, especially as it relates to the model farms.
Well, agriculture, I've been in agriculture from since I left school at a very young age. I remember back home, I planted my first banana, and then I started from there. And then I started going to the farm where we had our garden in the mountain. And I planted my first dashing plot, and that came out very nice. And from there, I continue to love agriculture because I believe that without food, we cannot live. We must eat, and not just eating food, but our food must we must eat good food,
Mhm.
food that can give the body nutrients. And sometimes and I remember during the banana boom that when we were really, really involved in the banana production, and where we move away from the natural way of growing our food and started using a lot of pesticide and gramoxone and chemical, and that allowed the soil to get so acidic. And I remember when during that boom, and we were coming to the latter part when Europe wanted to just mess around and try to see how they can get us out of the market. Late Demiurgius Charles said to us, do not put all your eggs in one basket,
Yep.
and we need to diversify. And farmers took her lightly. And when we lost the banana industry, farmers had to grapple and try to see where they can go. And some farmers left the industry. We tried
Mhm.
our best to see if we could maintain that, but that did not work. But now we have another opportunity because we are looking at having food security. And when we talk about food security, this must be a long-term plan. It cannot be a short term. And be having a long-term plan, you must put the necessary structures in place. And what the structure I'm talking about is to get the farmers who are productive, number one, involved and ensuring that you assist them in getting whatever assistance to develop what they have started. And after Hurricane Maria, it was really, really devastating. And then when I went on my farm and I saw what happened, I stayed there for a while. I remember I said to my wife, hey, not only in the next 20 years we'll come back and plant there because it was really bad. Everything got destroyed. And I remember I had a few breadfruit trees. I went, I took them, I put them up, I gave them dirt, I tied them up. And then I went back home and relaxing. And then I came up with that idea of establishing a model farm concept. And that model farm concept is a concept where that model farm concept is a concept where it is climate smart agriculture. So I did all my drainage and I went into agroforestry. And my style of agroforestry is that I plant a lot of exotic plants, a lot of fruits, and also I plant a lot of crops that can fight the adverse weather condition, like pineapples, passion fruit. Plantain is a very good crop, so I didn't get rid of the plantains because people love plantain. And then I moved into other crops like cocoa, and I plant, and now I have some animals on my farm. which means that I am moving into a full-blown climate smart farm, where I also do water harvesting. So the model farm in itself is really establishing a farm that when you come there, you can learn and you can experience what we are doing on the farm, and that what makes it so beautiful. Even myself, sometimes I go on the farm, I just sit and I just look around, and what I realize, every fruit season I have fruits. So
Mhm.
there's not one season that I do not have any fruits. Coconut, I have a lot of jelly now. Then if there is guava, I have guava in abundance. Guava cherry, I have guava cherry. I have sapadilla. I have oranges, and I have grapefruit, all kind of different fruits. So I believe that as farmers, what we need to do now is to go into an integrated way of farming.
Yeah, and tell us about your successes and how are you taking that model farm beyond your farm into other areas of Dominica?
Well, right now we are working with a few with farmers across the island. We have
Mhm.
a project that is called the Living Lab project, and that project was initiated by a group called Cambionet. It's a French organization, and that French organization, we are looking at a whole ecosystem way of developing agriculture in a more friendly environment, which means that we want to protect the environment whilst we plant and we grow our food. We want to we're trying to move away from all this pesticide and these chemicals that we used to use, and look at more using more organic manure, and also planting trees that will go back into the soil. For instance, I with the model farm I'm developing, I recognize that under the breadfruit tree, you have no weeds. So breadfruit leaves really help to control the weeds. And not just that, you have breadfruit now that you can eat. You can eat as a staple. Also, you can use it and you can process it. And one of the things I discover is we need to plant food that we can process, plant things that we can process. So we're looking at the entire value chain. So it's not just about planting, reaping, selling to the fresh market. But also we can sell to the fresh market, but we also have our excess. Instead of throwing it or dumping it, what we do, we add value to it. So that's why I developed that chips, and I'm looking at flour now. I'm looking at also dry fruit. So all my excess, I can get it back.
Mhm.
I can add value to it, and also the waste, what is not good, I can now use it back in the farm for composting. So we talk about circular economy, but agriculture is the model for circular economy, because it
Right.
shows that all what you use can go back into the soil, and then you can it can now build the land again, and also help the crops produce their food. Their food.
Right, and I'm so happy that you mentioned this because one of the things I want to talk about this evening, as we talk about an integrated development plan, is that we already have the branding available to us because we're considered Nature Island of the Caribbean. So
Right.
just listening to you talk about sustainable farming and ensuring nothing goes to waste just kind of reminds me that this could be a part of the branding in terms of Nature Island Dominica, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, that sounds like a project that the Ministry of Agriculture would certainly be interested in because here you have a model farm and you're willing to take it throughout the island to other farming communities. And again, we talk about farming and agriculture being the base of our economy. So have you approached the Ministry of Agriculture? Have you received any support from the Ministry of Agriculture for your model farm?
Well, yes, we are all working together because
Good,
we must bring all the stakeholders together
good.
to make sure we make it a success.
Mhm.
And this is a and when we have um, they have certain programs. They come there and do some programs, some research, and
Mhm.
I have had people coming from schools, people coming from agencies like CRAD. They came and to look at different species of planting that I have. We had some people coming from the UK, and these people, they were elderlies. but they came and see what we were doing on our farm so they could go back and practice it. And they were very, very happy and they were very pleased with what they saw. So it is not just building something for myself, but I want to ensure that people can come and learn and to experience what we are doing. And when they come, we also allow them to have an experience, a taste of the food that we cook, of the fruits that is being grown there. So it is something that we are bringing in people. And also I have a river next side. You can go there and take a bath and relax yourself. We just had a team come in 2 weeks back, and I think they are from Dominica, but they live in the US. I forgot their name.
Yep. It's Innovate My World.
Right,
Gail
right,
Bruni. Gail Bruni is
right.
listening. Good evening, Gail. Thank you for logging on. And she just reminded me that as part of the Innovate My World summer camp, and she's going to be on our program as well because she too and her program, they're doing wonderful things for the young people
Right,
of
right,
Dominica. And she just reminded me that she did a farm tour with
right.
you. So tell us about the farm tours.
Yes, they came. So as I said, when you come there, we give you a history of the farm, the history of the community, how the Cassibus estate became in the came into the hands of the farmers. And then we give you a history of what we do, a background of our family. It's a family business that we have. Then we give you a farm tour. Then you will go there and you as you go, you pick, you enjoy the fruits, and then you come back and we give you coconut water to drink, and which is, I mean, it's so good that you can drink a fresh coconut water on the farm, and then you can see how we work on the farm and what we are doing on the farm, and that in itself can bring some revelation, bring some insight to you that you can go back and share with somebody. And we want to really improve and grow our farm tours. We know, well, we have just started, but there are more things that we need to put together. And I am moving forward to build a natural restaurant. So you can come in a couple months from now. When you come, you'll be able to get all natural foods. Everything will be from the farm. There'll be nothing, we're going to buy anything in the store. So you'll drink a natural drink, you'll eat natural food, and then you will be able to, to, to recognize that we can do it
Yes,
without going into the stores and buy all these foreign foods.
yes,
And I
yes,
don't know,
yes.
sometimes it hurt my heart when I see people are queuing up in KFC line. I tell myself, what
Hmm.
kind of generation we're going to have tomorrow?
Hmm. Yep, that's
Because
unfortunate. And you know,
this is what our parents grew on, eating all the natural
absolutely,
foods. And I always say,
absolutely.
from the time that my parents left their natural foods and start going to the stores and sell all their cocoa, sell all their natural things, and then go into the store and buy things like chocolate, Milo, and these things, and start buying all that chicken that they used to buy, you
Hmm.
find their diet change and sickness that to attack their body. And I think we
Absolutely.
can reverse that, because if we are conscious and we understand what natural food is to the body, I always say it is about your health is your wealth, and
Absolutely.
what you eat must be a medicine. And that's why I'm focusing on planting stuff that are medicines.
Hmm.
We,
Absolutely. And I'm so happy you're giving us this information this evening because we can already see that the benefits are for Dominicans, but it also impacts the tourism industry. Because one of the things I've come to realize since COVID-19 is that there's a big demand for experiential tourism where people want to come and experience the country. And so it sounds like that is what you're doing. Not only are you giving the people a tour of the farm, but you're also giving them a taste of the farm. And you're also giving them the experience of going to the river. And I know because we've spoken before that you have the intention of creating a stage and providing them with entertainment. So it is a whole experience that is now taking us beyond just agriculture, but also into impacting the tourism sector. So tell us a little bit more about that.
yes, we I have I'm working right now also with a tourism group. It is called the Ansquanary Tourism Association. We have been there since 2015, and we are looking forward to develop the bayfront and to and to do things like sports tourism. Also, we want to ensure that at the end of a quarter we can have entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So we are looking at community tourism. So people can come not just for one day. Well, we appreciate the cruise tourism, but we are looking at people coming and stay over, let's say, for a week or a couple of days, and then they can enjoy Dominica, enjoy
Mm-hmm.
Castles, enjoy the communities, and then at the end of the week or their stay, we can have a place where we can come and provide
Mm-hmm.
entertainment for them. Well, my kind of entertainment really is our traditional music,
Yes.
because if you look at our traditional music, it's really dying away, and
Mm-hmm.
they have mixed it up with so many different things. But we have people that we can bring together that can still promote traditional music like the ballet, the quadrille, and the folk songs, and um, and all the other nice stories that we used to learn, and create something that people can enjoy and people can go back and reflect back to see that it's not about the olden days. We are not bringing back the olden days, but we are keeping the culture alive.
Hmm. Yeah, and that is what people want to experience. They want to experience the authentic Dominica, because one of the things that baffles my mind is we're literally the only island in the Caribbean with a Kalinago territory. And
Right.
yet we have not figured out a way to capitalize on the fact that we're the only island where you can come and see the indigenous people before the colonizers came, before the African slaves came. The Kalinago people were there. And we are the only island in the Caribbean that still has a Kalinago territory. And we haven't figured out a way to capitalize on that. And speaking about experiential tourism, tourists would pay to
Yes,
come and
I
have that
tell you.
experience with the Kalinago people.
But again, I will say that to you. The Bible says, where there is no vision, the people
The people
perish.
perish.
And what you find in the Kalinago, if the people really sit down and begin to recognize how important the territory is, how important,
Yes.
and the culture, how important it is to the world,
Mm-hmm.
and then they begin to put program in place and to begin to educate their people. I think that they can really get something out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
everything that we do, education is very important. And not just education, but you must have a vision. You should not only think for now, but you should look at a long term. You should look at the long term and what the next generation, so the next generation can take it and move with it. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we just agree, well, that's how it is. We just go along. But there is so much. I always say Dominica is so rich.
Oh, yeah.
It's so rich. We have the rivers, and when you go to other places, I mean, I went to Suriname. We call it Suriname. And when I saw the river, man, we have to cross to go to French Guiana. Man, I was so afraid because of the water is so dirty, and it
Mm.
is so large, but the water is not clean. You cannot bathe in that. In Dominica, you can bathe in practically every river that you that you see. So we have so much. We have the sand, both white and black. How are we going to develop the black sun and allow people to enjoy the black sun? We have the crabs. We have all the natural food to eat. So what we have to do is to make sure that we put it together and we package it right and we
Mm-hmm.
offer it to the world.
Yeah,
And
and,
I
and
know
like
that
I just and
coming
like I just said, you brand everything under the
right,
brand of Nature Island Dominica, because everything we've talked about so far, the agriculture, the tourism, the
right.
Kalinago people, already falls under the integrated development plan, and the brand is Nature Island Dominica. But in your description, Mr. Bannis, the only thing I didn't hear you talk about for the tourists are accommodations. Do you have accommodations?
Yes, we have
Because it
accommodation.
sounds, it sounds like you've thought about everything.
We have accommodation. Accommodation is not a problem. And there are people, we have accommodation for different people, because there are people, they are hikers and they would like to just sleep on a hammock under a
Mhm.
open place. We have that. We have houses, we have restaurants, we have hotels. But as I said, community tourism, we want to keep it simple. We want to keep it simple. So you will have the people come in and they will enjoy. The people can even come and live with you and share, because I remember we had some French students who came to my home and they really enjoyed it. I mean, we gave them everything and we taught them how to cook our food. They cooked, they made juice, and they were so excited about
Yes,
that.
yes.
So this is the kind of the kind of thing that we would like to do, the kind of work that we would like to do in Dominica, and we would like not just to attract certain people, but we want to attract everybody to make sure that everybody enjoy the natural.
Yeah, yeah, and and we have to think of it with our own experiences as well, because we just came back from Cuba a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, I was so fascinated to experience their culture, right? I was fascinated to see, how they roll the cigars. I was fascinated, about their cuisine. I was fascinated with their music and their dance. So when we think of it, of people, to us, it's just, Dominica, because that is what we grew up in. But think of someone coming in and never having experienced
Right.
Dominica. And the good thing about it with social media, if people have a good experience, they're more likely to share their
Yes.
experience and have even more people come to your shows. But I just want to stay on this for just 1 minute, because, of course, I know you're not an economist, and Dr. Thompson Fontaine could probably give us a better analysis. But it's just kind of frightening when you think of the implications of 58% of our economy being reliant on the CBI. I mean, is a little bit scary for me. And it just begs
Yes.
the question, why wasn't that money put towards some of what we're talking about
Right. Because
to grow the economy?
yeah, to grow the economy, especially in the area of Dominica doesn't have not one factory, to process anything. Okay. And I think as a nature island, we should have at least one or two, a couple factories. And if I was the government, what I would have done, each region, we have 7 regions in agriculture, each region should have a factory, and they would process different things. I know there are people who do great cassava bread, and there are people who continue to develop the cassava. There are those that do oils, coconut oil. You have people who do juices. I passed in town yesterday, and yesterday I was passing up in a certain area, and I saw Nature Fresh, and they just opened a place, and I was so happy to see that, and I was saying, "Wow, Nature Fresh is really moving," and that's what happens when you have a vision. You start small, but you grow it, and let it become something that people can enjoy. And I really want to big up Nature Fresh for what they are doing. And so it is not just about um, doing things for you, but also you are serving people, and people can come and enjoy what you are doing.
Yeah, and we can already see that so many of our businesses use the word nature. We have
Yes.
nature's fresh, we have nature's touch, we have nature's blend. I mean, I'm missing some of them, but so many of our businesses already use the word nature. So it is a matter of putting all of it together and creating that integrated business
Yeah,
plan,
that
but
brand.
beyond 1 year.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, just a regular household with a regular family, many families have 5 year plans. Whether it is to get the children through school so we can have more time to go on vacation, or it is, planning for retirement or getting that promotion. We all have plans that go beyond 1 year. So it just baffles me to think that a country is only looking at a 1 year plan. Every year we have to come back and talk about another 1 year plan. Where's the vision? Where's the vision for where the country is going and what you would like to see for the people in 5 years? So that is certainly
And,
something that baffles me.
and it's not just that, you have a 5 years mandate.
Yes,
So why give a 1 year plan?
right.
I mean, it's just common sense. If you have a 5 year mandate, you should be able to give a
Your
5 year
budget should
plan.
stretch out for 5 years.
Right.
Right.
And then when you come back, you report on what happened and how you going to what were your challenges and how you going
Mm-hmm.
to now move it into the second year. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not coming back with another budget, with another year plan. And I think sometimes, I don't know, but the people who they call themselves technicians, right? They call themselves technicians, and they are the brain box of the nation. But I don't know where their vision is, where their dream is, where their passion is. Because to do that, you must have a passion for something. Anything
Mm-hmm.
that you are doing, if you don't have passion,
Mm-hmm.
you are not going to really achieve much.
Right. Well,
And
and you also have the you have to have the passion, but you also have the skill. Have to have the skilled people. Because
yes, you
I
have to have the
think, in my
skills.
mind, I think any political party that goes up to try to represent the country should have an economist
Yeah,
as
yeah,
one of the members that is being presented, because it's so vital. Economic development, you need an economist, right? And in my mind, we hear about political strategists for keeping governments in place, but do we hear about business strategists? Do we have business strategists for growing the economy in Dominica? I've never heard about a business strategist. Have you?
no, no, never. And you spoke about Cuba. I was in Cuba and I was really, really happy to see what Cuba offers. And we went to various districts.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean simple things.
Mm-hmm.
And people come and enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
And here we may try to do something that we think, well, we can do something that is so elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
But the simple thing, this is what people come and enjoy because they are integrating into the community, into the life of the people,
Mm-hmm.
and they're enjoying the food that the people eat with them, and
Yes.
they value that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I went to another place, Suriname, and I think Suriname is a very, very nice country. I mean, it's very flat, but and underdeveloped also when I look at Suriname. But the culture there is so rich, and the people there, I mean, I saw they had some dances,
Mm-hmm.
real cultural dances, which was very good. Their food, and then they had like the jackfruit.
Mm-hmm.
In Dominica, we see a jackfruit, and maybe we might laugh or we might say we don't care about that. And they made so much good ice cream from that jackfruit.
Now think about all the mangoes that are just falling to us
Right.
in Dominica right now.
Yes. Right. So what I think we are missing in Dominica is the creative mind, right,
Mhm.
and the innovative mind. Sometimes that's why when some people see a person going to something and they start doing it, everybody go into it.
Yep.
You need to find out what your niche is, because if you want to go into everything people going into, you will fall by the way, because remember, it is not your dream, it is not your vision. So it's only those who are, if it's your dream and your vision, your passion, you'll remain. You will go through the challenges, you'll go through the difficult times, but you'll remain there until you begin to strive. So
Yeah.
we have to rethink agriculture, and that can integrate the young people so they can
Mhm.
come on board. And one of the things that I would like to suggest is that we look at the group model, because we do not have a lot of farmers. So what the best thing to do is to have a group model so we can have the production, and then we're talking about the branding, because if we have a
Mhm.
group and we are operating as groups, we can have one brand and everybody give into that brand.
Mhm.
And when you sell, everybody will benefit. But if you want to be the lone farmer on in Casables, the lone farmer in Rose, or the lone farmer, you're not going to go far, and there'll always be a shortage of produce, a shortage of
Mhm.
whatever we are doing, because our population is small. All right, we don't have a big population. So if we don't have a big population, we have to make sure that we do things that can that we can use in our country, but also we can add value and we can export. We are not really exporting.
Mm-mm. And then, if you think about it as well, Mr. Bannis, just having that integrated development plan, it can guide so many important decisions because it would guide in terms of where students are given scholarships to what fields
Right.
to pursue. Because if you have a plan, then it tells you what your needs are in certain areas. Maybe we need somebody with more expertise in agriculture. Maybe we need somebody with more expertise in climate resistance and resilient agriculture. Maybe we need somebody with expertise in areas A, B, and C. But having a plan creates direction and
Right.
it guides your decisions
Yes.
in terms of what is needed.
Mm.
So I think it is important on so many different levels. But I want to make sure we also talk about agro processing. So I have to tell you, we've covered quite a bit already, Mr. Bannis, because in terms of that integrated plan that we're talking about, and it, I'm not gonna dwell on this because we all know that the policy doesn't exist, but it just to me it makes intuitive sense to have one plan, one umbrella, one brand, and then everything lines up underneath that brand. But let us talk about agro processing and how you got started and what you're currently doing.
Well, it's really a long story, but I can also condense. I remember when um, I was born on the other side of the river that called Toronto,
Mhm.
and we had this huge estate called CDC. So I had to pass under the bananas every afternoon after school, every morning to go to school, cross the river to go home. And every time you have like September, October, you would have a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and all these bananas would be lying on the ground. And you would have some huge bunches. And every afternoon I pass, I used to say, I have to turn you into something that is going to make money. And
Mhm.
I would stand up by the banana, take the right bananas, eat them, and I used to say, I have to turn you into something positive. And
Mhm.
I remember a time when I started preaching and teach. I started preaching. I started pastoring the church, and then I went to St. Lucia and I started preaching there. And after I preached, a guy came to me and he said to me, "I like the message that you preach. I'm going to come to Dominica."
Mm.
So he came to Dominica. He called me up and he said, "I'm coming. Pick me up at the airport." So I went and picked him up at the airport. When I went to the airport, he came down with a sealer and some plastic bags.
Mm.
And when he came, he told me he's going to teach me how to make chips. That time I
Mm.
had a lot of plantains and they were there and they were not selling. And then when he came, he told me well, in Jamaica they are doing banana chips and we can do plantain chips. So we started with the fire, started on a pot with fire. That thing is to burn your eyes.
Mm.
And the first time we made 60 packs. I went down to the village. As soon as I reached All Soul, and then I came back up, and from that I have been more packs, and then we bought a stove, and then that stove now we started frying the chips, and we organized a little bag with a label, and we started selling the chips on the shelf. And that time you had Sheridan Gregory, I remember he had that place you call at up. I try to remember the name. That's the same place Mr. Ronald Landa was working.
Mm.
Then I went there and we had an expo in Guadeloupe, in Martinique, and they brought me to that expo. And from there, I started traveling to the entire Caribbean in expos. And then I went to Taiwan and
Mm.
I did a course in food technology. When I went by the Taiwanese ambassador, and I gave him some chips. When he ate it, he said to me, "This thing is so nice. I'm going to send it to Taiwan."
Wow.
And by the next year, I'm in Taiwan. And
Mm.
I did so we did 6 weeks in food science. Then I came back and then I started developing the product, and then when Maria came, We had some issues, but we are back now, and we now have something that we see that we can grow to a more competitive stage. So there's always room for improvement. So we are
Mm-hmm.
trying to ensure that we improve our product as we go along. And thank God we got that Bafala breadfruit. We went to a conference, a breadfruit conference in Trinidad. And when we gave our presentation as Dominica, Dr. Marcus Garvey's son came and he said to me, he called me and he said to me, sit down. I want to give Dominica some breadfruit, and I love your presentation. And I thought he was making a joke. By the time I went back home, by the time in a month's time, he sent down the plants some. And
Wow.
these plants we call the Mafala breadfruit. And they are very, very good. The hurricane destroyed them, as I said. Like I placed them back up, I tied them up, I ensure that they remain strong. And today, we call it the prolific bearer because we always have breadfruit. And it's heavier. It also take more time before it ripe. It is crunchy. It tastes nice. You can roast it, even though it's green. It's still sweet. It have a seed in it, and it's a very very good breadfruit. And I think Dominica is spoiled because when I saw the breadfruit, the Mafala breadfruit in Trinidad, it was so small. I tell myself I don't want that. But when the guy told me they're going to send for me, I told my friends, let me tell you, when that breadfruit comes to Dominica, you're going to see the size. And so said, so done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're making so many. I mean, the breadfruit is so big.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a dream, as I said, and you have a passion, you will continue to develop your dream. And now, thank God, my children went to school, they went to university, and that sent them agriculture, that sent them to school
Mm-hmm.
and to university. And then now they are now part of the development because they are all chemists, so they are part of the development of what we are doing as a family. And I think that we want to ensure that we always take it to another level because I am not just a business. I'm not a businessman. I tell people I'm an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Businessman, when you is going through challenges, he gives up. An entrepreneur always find a new way or an innovative way of coming up with something that can change his environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to talk about your different markets in terms of where you sell and the importance of including the diaspora. But listening to you, Mr. Bannis, I'm thinking it just speaks about the importance of venturing beyond Dominica, the importance of continuing your education in whatever field you're interested in. Because I get the impression, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, that many times and we have to give people credit for wanting to try, but many times people see other people doing things. Somebody's doing hair products, so now I'm going to do hair products. But what is going to be your niche? What is going to be different in terms of what the other person is doing to give you that market advantage? So it just, listening to you just tells me the importance of venturing beyond Dominica and continuing that learning process and building that network, right? Because here you were doing a presentation, and then to have the son of Marcus Garvey come up to you and say, "Hey, I want to offer you something," just speaks about the importance of positioning yourself beyond Dominica. And now with the technology, many people might say, "Well, I don't have money to take a flight to Trinidad," but with the technology, now you're able to do those things remotely. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, this is very, very important. And I can tell you, networking is very important
Mm-hmm.
because what networking does, it creates the environment for more business. It creates the environment that people can sell your business. I was thinking of something yesterday, and I was saying most times, a lot of us, people talk about market research,
Mm-hmm.
right? And somebody will tell you, well, I can do your market research for you, and you have to pay them X amount, and they will go put all the papers together. But I am seeing market research as is something easy. You have a product, you get people to taste it, you get people to give their remarks on it. And also you look at the market that you want to target. And once you look at the market that you would like to target, you now prepare to target that market. And the research that you are really going to do is that's where the networking comes in. Like I went to I was in Grenada and I had a few packs of breadfruit chips. And when I went there, I met a young lady from Dominica, and she said to me, "You have any breadfruit chips?" I didn't bring, I just brought a few. She said, I must get, because when I was in Dominica, I made sure I bought my breadfruit chips. Then in the we had a conference there, and here comes the Minister of Agriculture, or the Minister of Agriculture in Grenada, and he was saying that they have loads of tons of breadfruit in Grenada. They do not know what to do with it. Tons of breadfruit. So I pull out a bag and I gave to an African guy that was by me. And he told me, you are doing that? I tell him yes. And the guy took it, and the guy started looking at it and started turning it. And the guy said, "Man, this is really, really good." And then I told him, "Well, you need to taste it." And from there, people started sharing and enjoying. And because of that now, the network has begun. And people start ordering online, all right? And people are asking about it. So every session I go, what I do, I was ministering in a church, and I brought some. And I told them, some preachers bring books, right? Which is good. Some preachers bring different things, but I'm bringing something that can help you and motivate you to do something to help yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna nourish their body and their
Right.
souls.
All right. So after I shared the message, I shared with them, and I mean, these people were so excited about that. And that's what I'm saying. If you are a minister of the gospel, your job is to empower the people. Your job is to ensure that you build their capacity, that you can get them excited to get involved in something that will enable them to become self-sufficient. It's not just about us preaching and then taking an offering
Yep.
and stuff like that. But you have to create the environment for them to be able to make, because if people are making money, they will give. You don't have to ask them to give. You have to beg them to give. Once you are sharing with them from your heart, they will give. So we have to have a new mindset of how we teach people as kingdom people. I cherish my relationship with the Lord, and I want to make sure that I always tell myself I want to put the Lord first, but I want to make sure I empower people so they can experience not just thinking of heaven, but also building their life here on earth.
Yeah, and it's about the promise of the potential of the human being, and that
Right,
is what you're tapping into. You're trying to think of how can I maximize the potential of the people who are around me, right? How can I get the best out of everyone?
right.
And remind me, because I think we also talked about it's to the point now where people are asking you to become consultants in
Yes,
the region, and I mean that is very impactful because it just shows the growth potential as we continue to look at what we're talking about. So tell us about the consultancies that are now
because
opening up to you.
people wants to develop not just a short term form of cash, but people want to develop something that is sustainable, that can go through the other generation. And they are also looking at how they can incorporate young people, because young people do not want to really venture into agriculture anymore. So we have to
Mhm.
make agriculture become something that is attractive. And that's where the model farm concept comes in, where you teach them how to plant, how to prepare the soil, how to grow the plant and take care of the plant. Then you have your composting, you have your animal right there. Then you can have your renewable energy, your solar. You can also do your biogas, so you can cook on that. This is another way. And then we go into the farm tours and the agriculture. And also, this is a very important part. We need to ensure that on every model farm, you have a place where you can process, you can add value. So instead of having all this, you don't have to have a big factory. But if we work in groups, and each group there is a model farm with a small factory, the people can come there and they can process whatever they have. And that's where the branding comes in. And we sell under one brand. So
Mm-hmm.
many hands make work lighter, as we see,
Right.
lighter. And because of that, people want me to come and share my experiences, see how I can assist them in developing and to build what they have, the same concept that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and not too long I was, I had a, not too long I was on a program sharing my experiences with some people in the region. And so people are looking for ways and means to become more efficient in agriculture and see agriculture as a lucrative business.
Hmm. And
And that's
Lambi, we're coming to the calls, but it begs the question, Mr. Bannis, because you're a very well known man in Dominica. So it begs the question: the region wants you to consult with them, but has our government contacted you about being a consultant?
well, not as yet. I'm looking forward for them to do that, for them to do that
Yes.
because I'm willing to assist. But I'm trying my best by working with the groups to see how
Hmm.
we can we can move agriculture to another level that people
Hmm.
can show more interest in agriculture.
Hmm. Yeah, so we still have quite a bit more to talk about. And again, thank you for being here with us, Mr. Adrien Bannis. And then once we come back from the break, in terms of taking calls from our audience, I want us to have this conversation because our youth is so important. And I want us to kind of look at how can they be involved in the different aspects of what you're doing, because we need to motivate our young people to do more, and we need to let them see how they fit in the various aspects of our development in Dominica. So before we go to the calls, let us just remind our audience this is Roots Connections on Q, and we are speaking with Mr. Adrien Bannis, entrepreneur, and we are talking about with the CBI program and the serious threat of collapsing. What is the way forward for growing Dominica's economy? And so we're looking at an integrated development plan. And so far, we've covered so many areas. We've talked about the importance of having that brand Nature Island Dominica. We've talked about agriculture. We've talked about farm tours. We've talked about tourism, experiential tourism, accommodations. We talked about agro processing. So we're kind of just unfolding what an integrated development plan for Dominica, at least a 5-year plan, would look like based on what is already being done. Because again, I think we spend way too much time talking about what should be done instead of looking what already exists in Dominica and how can we pull together everything that exists to expand on the work of Dominicans like Mr. Adrien Bannis and so many other people who are doing important work on the ground to advance Dominica. So, Lambi, let me come over to you back in the studio to give the phone number so callers can join the conversation.
Good evening. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. These are all local numbers. The international number, 305-432-9624. Let me run those again. 449-3095, 9697, 616-4257, local numbers. And the international number, 305-432-9624. Always standing by for your calls. Back to you, Simone.
Yes, thank you. And in the meantime, let us see our friends on Facebook. Thank you so much for being here. Anthony Simon, good evening from Calabishi tonight. Anthony, I know you're in Calabishi, but you'll come back to Atlanta. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying your time in Calabishi. Martha Laura, good night all. My mom, Medina Senhouse, good evening, dear Rose and guests. She wants us to know that she's listening. Thank you for being here. Clyde Gregoire, when you push KFC, make look more important than your market in Dominica, what do you expect? So he's kind of commenting on what we talked about in terms of the long lines at KFC. Veronica Pascal, good evening. You all, nice to see you, Veronica. Oma Monel, always great to have you on board. He said, that's beautiful. David Joseph, greetings and good night to each and every one. Special good night to the guest and host, not forgetting Brother Lambie. Been listening on the radio, so I missed nothing. Enjoying every minute. Thank you, David. Always great to have you on board. Oma Monel, absolutely correct, Simone. And then he says, that's very positive. Thanks for the feedback, Omar. David Joseph, we need an agro-processing plant in Dominica to deal with the tremendous amount of fruits that are going to waste. We need to reestablish a water-based industry, and we need to establish a water industry. We need to stop the importation of all these water from countries that do not have half the amount of fresh water than we do. So thank you, guys. Lambi, over to you.
Yes, we've got a call on the line. Please go ahead with your call.
Yes. Good evening to you, Lambi, Dr. Simone, and your other guests on here tonight.
Good evening.
Dr.
Good evening.
Dr. Simone, you know, I always listen to your program because
Yes, thank you.
the value it brings. But you're gonna find this amazing, right? It's a small world. Adrien Bannis, are you the one who did the cold press coconut oil at one point?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, you probably don't make out the voice.
Yes, I got the voice.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, man. But we spoke already.
Yes. Okay. Well, I didn't tell you about my roots, Bannis roots from Cassibus. But anyway,
right.
Dr. Simone, this gentleman and I had some conversations years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was still in Florida, and on one of my trips on field camp, I found out that they were using coconut shell called granulated activated carbon to do cleaning of water. And it's a huge product that is used to clean municipal water, to do water filtration and purification. And obviously, when I saw that, the first thing that clicked in my mind, how can we produce that in Dominica? Because when you go to all the mines, as a matter of fact, it has wide application in hospitals. It's huge resource. And I found out that Mr. Adrien was doing coconut oil, and I called the aid bank. I tried to get information from DCP. I tried to get information from the Ministry of Agriculture to find out what is the level of production of coconut in Dominica. Because for you to first go into any manufacturing, you need to know where your resources are and how much resources you have.
Mm-hmm.
And are you capable of providing for the market? And that's how this gentleman and I had some interaction. But over the years, we've lost contact. So I just turned on and I heard him talking. I'm like, this is amazing to see that he's still at it, trying to do some innovation. Mm-hmm. I recognize the gentleman has immense gifts and talents. And if he was in a different area or a different part of the world where the value of the people were recognized, he would have been a multi-millionaire already in his production. And I'll tell you why. We look at the Caribbean region, there are over, the state of Texas or the state of Florida have the largest populations in addition to California in the U.S., about 20-something million people. If you put up the Caribbean region, the Greater Antilles, down to Trinidad, Guyana, we have close to 40-something million people in the Caribbean region.
Mm-hmm.
My friends, what that represents is a market. If you look at the African continent have billions of people. It's one of the largest regions in the world. That's a market. If you look at South Africa, that's a market. For the past few years, we have the Chinese coming to Dominica, and they provide a market for our goods and services. How much of that we have tried to tap? And I recognize with our small island, we might not have the land area to produce a lot of things to provide to the market. But if you develop an industry, you can always source your material there while you grow. So it pains me to listen to this gentleman today, again, talking about a product that people like. And what I have seen and what I understand, that there are obstacles to him developing that product, developing that industry, and getting the assistance and the resources from policymakers and a society to improve, not just himself, but when that industry grows, then he can employ people, he can employ accountants, he can employ food scientists, he can employ marketing managers, he can employ designers, and right now with automation, he can employ engineers and technicians. And you see how much we have been losing out, because there is frankly a lack of vision with the people who are running the affairs, not just of Dominica but the region, not understanding the importance of our population, the value of the people in their development. And when that is not factored in, this gentleman, Adrien, will be moving from one product to the next, but unless he gets the assistance to capitalize on the market, get the investment that is needed to develop that project, and jive with the agriculture system, the Ministry of Agriculture, what is their purpose, what is the vision for the country, then we have an individual who has immense talent, but our environment is not allowing him to capitalize on that. I still admire you, gentlemen. I know we have not spoken in a long time.
We need to contact again.
We
need to connect again.
We will. I lost your number, but Simone knows I am finishing up my MBA for a reason. So sometimes the universe has ways of speaking to people. And Simone, the last time I spoke, one of the things that needs to be done, because you and I spoke about getting markets, for Caribbean and Dominican produce. The thing about it is, we are the people who live in North America, which is pretty close to the Caribbean, live in the largest economy in the world. That's where and Adrien, when we had that conversation, I observed the growth of coconut oil in stores. And I called my parents and I said, can you believe there's coconut oil in pharmacies talking about how it's good for your skin? To the point where that industry has raised to $1 billion industry. I've seen the rise of avocado oil. I've seen the rise of stuff we've been producing in Dominica for years. And this and what we have not done is we have not even tried to pick out a share of the market. So if you have a small share of $1 trillion industry, that's a huge revenue to the Caribbean, and the logistics of shipping here is closed. And I think what needs to be done, because apparently the people in authority to make that enable environment cannot do it. I think there needs to be more coordination between the people in that large diaspora market, because what you really need is that to get into that market where you can spread and grow that, generate that wealth, generate that revenue, so we can build Dominica. There has to be a rethinking of how we do stuff in the Caribbean. There has to be a rethinking of how we direct our energies and our investment. There has to be a rethinking of how we can utilize our proximity to the United States, our proximity to the largest economy in the world, and our citizens from the Caribbean who already live here, who can be a big source of advertisement to get into that market where you can add value to that stuff. Gentlemen, keep trying. I know it's tough because, like I said, you and I have spoken way before Q95 and all these things have been going around. So Simone, Dr. Simone, you now you have a sense of how long I have been at this.
Yes.
I can do anything possible to help my people in my country. And I gave him some information, and I didn't even care if he ran away with it, just because I wanted somebody who have the ambition to understand that there are options and opportunities out there to add value to whatever you're doing. You have a good night, and I'm listening off here.
Yes,
Man.
thank you. Thank you so much, Len, and I'll be sure to reconnect you with Mr. Bannis. But again, I just want to take a minute to thank Lennon, because, he does a whole lot more than just call the radio. He's one of the people who's in the background, behind the scenes, working with me, discussing ideas about how can we move Dominica forward? How can we create markets? How can we integrate the diaspora and so many other areas? So Lennon, I just want to thank you very much for continuing with your passion for Dominica. But Mr. Bannis, I want to come back to you because I'm listening to Lennon. It just kind of brought up the idea for me about the obstacles that you faced along the way and how you've overcome those obstacles, and even now the obstacles you may be facing with regards to everything that you're trying to do, because it sounds like you've just been blessed with an abundance of talent and an abundance of ideas. But I'm sure that along the way you faced quite a bit of an uphill battle to get you to where you are, and you continue to face obstacles. So kind of just tell us about the obstacles you faced and how you're moving forward.
Well, I've realized that anything that you want to achieve in this life, there will be obstacles. I was reading about Isaac in the book of Genesis, and the Bible says when Isaac started multiplying and Isaac started becoming rich, Abimelech, the Bible says, and his people, they began grudging them. And because of that, Abimelech said to him, get out of the land and go somewhere. So he left and he went and he pitched his tent. And when he went there, they took the holes that his father dug, Abraham. What they did, they cover all of them. And they thought, well, they would have stopped him from multiplying and growing and becoming prosperous. But the Lord came back to him and said, appeared to him, the Bible says, and said to him, I am with you, fear not.
Mm-hmm.
Fear not, I am with you. And the Bible says he began prospering. So as I said, anytime you have a dream, you have a vision, and you are growing, and you are beginning to move from where you are, heading to somewhere, you'll always have obstacles. You'll always have people trying to see how they can stop. But the good thing is, I always say, I'm a man of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just that, I am innovative. And what I do also, whatever I make, I plug it back into my farm. So there's something that you call self-financing. So I try my best to ensure that I finance myself from whatever I grow and I sell, I finance myself. And this is something that I think you have to remain positive, you have to remain strong, you have to remain focused. You cannot give up on your dream, because your dream was never given to you by somebody, and it's not going to be easy to achieve what you want to achieve. But you have to make sure you set the foundation and you build on it. And that's why you have children. And so you encourage your children to build on the foundation that you have started. And so I am one who is self-motivated, and I know that I am going to do what I have to do. I do what I have to do. I don't want to be dependent on anybody. I want to make sure that I work to achieve what I have. And sometimes it is real rough, but you do not allow that rough times to turn your boat over or to divert your purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, that is one of the things I was about to ask you about financing, because you know that is always a challenge that many entrepreneurs face. How do you finance the projects that you're looking to go into? And I'm happy that you mentioned self-financing, because unfortunately what we see is we have a lot of young people with dreams in Dominica, but they get a little bit of money, they go buy a big chain. They get a little bit of money, they go buy a bike. They get a little bit of money, they go put weave in their hair. So it just kind of speaks. And I'm not saying that we should not enjoy the finer things in life, but there's something called deferred gratification, right?
Yeah.
That you defer the satisfaction of having all those luxuries until you can build something towards you, so you can afford those luxuries. So I think it's just so important. Have you had an opportunity to speak to any of the young people, go to the schools and be a motivational speaker? That just popped into my mind real quick.
Well, the thing is that I sometimes I go to the school, yes, when they have career days, career month, and I share with them Also, as I told you, I'm a preacher. I go across the region sometimes. I minister. I remember before COVID, I used to travel all across the region and sharing and teaching on the church becoming self-sufficient, and I would use agriculture as a platform so that the church can be learned. And people never really listen because some people really think, well, that is not for the church, that is not for the kingdom. And but I continued to share. And when COVID hit, one preacher called me and he said to me, man, it's like the Lord sent you to share some information with us and give us a message, and we never listened to you. And now COVID is here, and we are at square one. And now I'm going to start, and the information I received from you, I'm now going to use it to help my people. So I said to him, but
you had to take COVID.
Yes. So I said to him, but the good thing is I never stopped. I wasn't only preaching, but I was also planting and doing what I have to do and making sure that, and during the COVID, I had food I could sell, I could eat, I could take care of myself. So the other thing is you have to make sure that you are not just a talker, but also you have to implement, because vision, when you are a visionary, you have to be an implementer. If you are not implementing, you will only go through the wind like that.
Right, and you also have to surround yourself with knowledgeable people.
Right.
It cannot be a one-man show, you know, everything it's me, and I get the credit for everything. You have to be willing to have other people involved and get the credit they deserve for being involved.
But sometimes some people, they have that negative attitude. They will think, well, you want to big yourself and you want to get yourself rich. And they do not understand, if I want to get myself rich, I would just be somewhere, I alone, doing my business. But I want to see not just myself, but everybody can, because if everybody can help themselves, life becomes easier.
Yep.
Life becomes easier if everybody can help themselves. Okay? So the knowledge that I have, I love to share it.
Absolutely. And I want to make sure I got the last comment. Jennifer Coffey, I did see you on Facebook. She says, good night, Jacksonville, Florida, in the house. Thank you for being here, Jennifer. And you know, Mr. Bannis, speaking about challenges, especially as it relates to financing, I think when we talk about the model farms and taking them beyond just your farm, that is a potential obstacle for the farmers. Because here I was just listening to the news this morning, and comes to find out that, you know, Dexia are not paying the farmers on time. So how are you supposed to grow your business when the agency responsible for your revenue is constantly delayed with paying you? I mean, it's a huge challenge for our farmers in Dominica.
Of course, it's a huge challenge because they have to buy the inputs, they have to buy whatever they have to buy, they have to pay their bills and do everything. And as I always say, anytime you see you doesn't get the money on time, it pushes everything that you have back. So we have to make sure that in developing our sustainable agriculture, we have to make sure market is very important, and not just market. We have to make sure that the people who buy our product pay us on time. This is very important. And also, I was one of the things in the model I was looking at, that we need to focus on crops that will bring in income, and that will also be sustainable crops that we can add value, like cocoa, because you can plant cocoa, you can sell the cocoa fresh, you can dry the cocoa and you can make chocolate, you can make cocoa sticks, coconut, you have the jelly water. If you want, you can package it. You can package the oil from it. You have sweet potato. You can sell your sweet potato. You can sell the sweet potato flour. You can do sweet potato chips. There are so many things that you can do. Cassava, plantain. People love plantain chips. I always say banana. People love banana. I rather buy a banana than I buy an apple. You know, because the banana have a lot of nutrients. It helps control your sugar. It helps control your pressure. It does keep your body going and keep the energy high. Dashing, you can plant the dashing. You can sell it fresh. You can do dashing flour. You can do dashing chunks. You can do all kind of different passion fruit. Very good drink. Ginger, pineapple, turmeric. And then when you look at these things, they never die like ginger and turmeric. This is very good to eat and to use, because anytime something doesn't die, it is good for your body. And we can also look at oranges, your citrus, your lime, your tangerine, lemons, avocado, and exotic fruits like sapodilla, apricot. Apricot is a very good fruit. So these things I name for you, you can add value to them. So these are the crops that you have to focus on and you have to develop.
Yeah, and I'm happy we're having this conversation, because the other thing we have to think about are the markets. So let us talk about the Dominican market, the original market, the international market, because I think we can spend a lot of time criticizing people for wanting to eat KFC. And look, if you want to eat KFC, you can eat your KFC occasionally. I don't recommend it every day, but I always say moderation, not deprivation, is the key to a healthy living. But I think what we have to consider as well is, how do we make our produce, our products in Dominica more attractive for the consumer, so that rather than saying, you know what, let me go down by KFC, they say, you know what, let me pick up this healthy option instead. Because I think we, as the producers, the onus is also on us to say, you know what, people no longer want to peel dashin and peel fig, but how are we creating a market for them where it is a little bit more convenient? Many people are working, moms and dads are working. This is not back in the day when my mom stayed home and my dad went to work, right? So how do we make our produce in Dominica a little bit more attractive, so that people have more of an option to pick up something that is fresh and healthy rather than going to KFC?
Well, what I have discovered is that the generation today, they do not like to cook, and that is really a problem for me. They do not like to cook, and they think, well, it is faster, it is easier for me to buy a soft drink and buy a bread, and I take it, I drink that, I eat that, buy a KFC. And so, how are we going to make it more attractive? Number one, it takes education,
Yep.
and that's what the doctors and the nutritionists should be doing, educating the people of the value of eating fruits, vegetables, and the ground provision. Okay, and the other thing is that they need to put tariff on this incoming stuff to make sure that the people will have to say, okay, when they go on the market, they will have to see how it's either they buy the fresh produce, or you put the other one in a place where it becomes so expensive. But the other thing is, the people must tell themselves, I want to be healthy and I want to eat healthy. So regardless of of um of what regardless of what when they go to the supermarket, they have to look for the local produce. And the other thing, that we have to make it affordable.
Right.
And something I always discover, I said, if something is good, why sells it so expensive? If something is good for your health, for instance, a person will say a bottle of coconut oil is $100, and then you say the coconut oil is good for health. Why sell a bottle of coconut oil for $100 when it has health benefits? So you may say, okay, the cost of production and all the different things. That is where now, as I said, we need to come together as groups, whether it's agro-processing or farming or whatever, and see how we can get our cost of production to a place where we can sell it at a price that the person can buy it because they know it is healthy.
Hmm. And it also speaks to the importance of having a frozen food industry in Dominica.
Right.
Because what you find now when you go to the supermarket, even here, I can buy plantain in the frozen section,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So maybe there's a market, an industry where we can produce frozen produce that people can more easily prepare at home. And also, there's another market of people showing people. All that is in the interest of the health of Dominica. So I don't know if it's the wellness. The wellness, the health and wellness group in Dominica, or some other group that can take up that mandate. But there needs to be, as you talked about, education. So showing people simple recipes, the Ministry of Health is probably the one who should be mandated with this. Instead of complaining, oh, you're eating too much KFC, you're eating too much KFC. Why aren't we showing people simple recipes
Yeah.
to say, okay, the frozen food industry does not exist right now, but maybe take Saturday and prepare all your produce, freeze it in your freezer, and here is how you use it on a daily basis. Or you cook, everybody has microwave now, not the most healthy thing, but it exists. And this is the simple foods and tasty foods that you can create so that now when you're hungry, you're not running to KFC.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I want to say, Dominica, what I've discovered in Dominica, we are doing very well when it comes to our our cuisine. If you go to our restaurants in Dominica, you'll get fresh produce.
Yes.
If you go to a guest house or a hotel, but the other day I was doing a research when I travel, and what I recognize, Dominica is the only place if you go and buy food, you are going to get provision. When you go to the other
Mm.
countries, when you go and buy food, it's just rice as
Yep,
a
that's
staple.
true. In Cuba, it's
Even in
just
the
rice.
hotels.
In
So we
Cuba,
have
it's just
something
rice.
that we can build upon and we
Mhm.
can develop. But sometimes we do not pay mind to these things because we can develop, and that's where we can develop our fresh produce industry
Mhm.
by because we know that in the hotels, in the restaurants, in the bars, wherever we go and buy food, we will always get our fig, our dashin, our plantain, our cocoy. People don't want to eat cocoy, but cocoy is very good. I can
Mhm.
tell you, I love cocoy.
I don't like cocoa. I like plantain.
Your breadfruit, your. So I am saying we have to get our young people, and we have to start in the schools, the primary school, and we have to teach that in the classroom, and we have to also cook it at home. You know,
Mhm.
let your children tell you, I want rice. You cook the provision,
Mhm.
and you cook it in different ways.
Right.
There's so many ways you can cook a dashin. You can cook a breadfruit. You can
Mhm.
cook your yam, your tanya, your cassava,
Mhm.
and make it taste delicious.
Yeah, and the biggest mistake I think we as younger parents make is to give our children different food from what we're eating.
Yes.
So you're eating the provision, but you're feeding your child mac and cheese. Oh,
Yes.
because he doesn't want he doesn't want ground provision. My daughter started eating what we were eating from the
You
time
know,
we mashed it up and we made it tasty and we fed it to her. And now what does she eat? Rice and beans and provision because that is what she's growing up on.
in time past, our parents would say, if you don't want it, lie down by it.
Let
Super
them
late
buy
to
it.
say. And when you see it's true, you're not getting anything else. You eat the fig.
Yep, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You have to lie down by it or eat it. Yes,
Yes.
a very engaging conversation, Mr. Bannis. Again, thank you for being here. But let us talk about the other markets. So we talked about the need for Dominicans to consume more of what we grow and how that can be made possible. And you talked about taking the chips and other things with you to the region. But are you able to reach international markets?
Yes. And I'm not really selling international markets on a large scale. But
Mhm.
when persons come to Dominica and they're traveling back, they usually buy. I know there was somebody from England who told me when they're going to England, they would just buy a whole trolley of chips just to bring for their friends and to bring for their people. So, but what I'm trying to do now is to see how I can continue to expand so I can tap into the international market. I know that Shop DM, as I said, Shop DM, you can buy online on Shop DM, they will get it to you wherever you are. So this is an opportunity that you have in the, I don't like to use the word diaspora. I like to
yes, and we don't like that either.
Abroad
Yes.
can come and they can get the product so that they can use it. So there's an excellent opportunity. You can order online and you can get from Shop DM.
And I missed the question earlier from David Joseph. He wanted to know, we need an agro-processing plant in Dominica. So what are your thoughts on that, an agro-processing plant in Dominica? Because how are you producing your chips? Are you doing it from your home? Where are you doing your production?
Cottage. We have a cottage type operation. But I'm looking forward to see how I can build something bigger. Because I want to look at other products like dasheen, sweet potato, cassava, and tanya. These are the products that we can produce, but you will need to have a bigger place to do that.
Yeah, and I think you had also mentioned flour, doing different types of flour.
Yes, breadfruit. Well, you can do flour from partly all of them, because remember, if I do a tanya flour, you can use it as an arrowroot, for the babies and stuff like that. The breadfruit flour is very nice. Also, you can use it as an arrowroot. So all these things, the sweet potato, the plantain flour, the banana, and I remember I did a dasheen flour and I mixed that up and I did a dasheen. I cooked that. That was so refreshing, man.
And I think it begs the question, though: can I use the breadfruit flour to make bakes? I mean, can you use the flour?
Of course, you can make anything with it.
Or will it taste like breadfruit?
No. You won't taste like breadfruit. If you do it right, you will never get the taste like breadfruit.
Okay.
Because I had to. Well, the first time I do it, a couple times I do it, I found out there was a small aftertaste. So I had to go back to you call that the drawing board, and because I myself I'm a chemist in my own right. I always say when I read of George Washington Carver at school, I remember the number of nights he stayed and doing peanut butter, and people laughed at him, and then finally he got through.
Yes, I think we have a call.
That was my motivation. I said,
hold the thought, Mr. Bannis. I think we have a call. Hold the thought. Hold that thought, okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead with your call. Hello, caller. You still there? He's there, but I'm hearing nothing. So let's continue.
Okay, he'll call back. Thank you. Caller, please feel free to call back. Mr. Bannis, go ahead.
Yes, so George Washington Carver was my motivator. And I said, from that time when I read, I was at that time, Form 3. And I remember, man, I used to read about George Washington Carver. And from that time, that whole passion for turning fresh produce into added value started in my bones. And I continued until I reached the place where I want to use anything that I see, I want to turn it into added value now.
Yeah. And that is how we should all be thinking, especially at the government level. That is where we should all be thinking. But Omar says this gentleman is nailing these points. Bravo, sir. Pam Clark, thank you for joining. She says, very good point. TNT has an annual dasheen festival where all sorts of dasheen products are presented, even dasheen ice cream. As the original man, Mr. Bannis, have you heard about this dasheen festival in Trinidad?
Yes, in Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago, yes.
Yeah.
Dasheen ice cream.
Why aren't we doing the same? We need
I don't know.
We need a produce festival in Dominica.
But there'll be a time when, well, as I said, I will have my small cottage type
Yes.
in my farm tour. So when you come, you maybe
Yeah.
got ice cream from all the different things: breadfruit ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
plantain ice cream, banana
Mm-hmm.
ice cream, and
Mm-hmm.
it will all be done locally, not using all that kind of chemical fluffy stuff. But you'll
Right.
have something that is natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, thank you so much for sharing the ideas and for your input and your added value. Mr. Bannis, I love that terminology, added value. But, one of the things we have to make sure that we do is inspire our young people, because I am so concerned for our young people. And I think they're finding agriculture to be very unattractive. But just based on everything we are talking about, Mr. Bannis, I can see how we can make this such an attractive opportunity for young people. For example, we can have young people being tour guides. When I
Yes,
was
yes,
younger, I did tours of Dominica. So you can have the young people being tour guides for the
yeah,
farm tours, providing knowledge to the people. You keep your hands clean if you don't want to be in agriculture, but it's an auxiliary business for agriculture. You can have young people being, what is it, brand ambassadors for your
record keeping. They can
plantation.
come on the record keeping for you.
Yeah, so do you have any thoughts on how we can engage our young people in Dominica in terms of everything that you're doing, the entertainers that you talked about?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah,
you can have the young people come in and the well, that's where I'm trying to link up with the universities and the college, the secondary schools, so they can come and have, we call that educational tour. So
hmm,
universities can come and we give you an educational tour, and that's a package that you will have, and you can come and we teach you what we do, we share with you, and also you enjoy what we have, and there you can be motivated to go back and start something in your area. So
hmm,
we are not just showing you that agriculture is just your hands dirty and your
right.
fingernails getting rough and your hands getting tough, but
Hmm,
you have different aspects that you can contribute. So you have a skill in record keeping. You can come now and see how you can work with the farmer to help him develop his records. Your records are important.
hmm,
And then we have lots of other things. You can learn how to process. Okay? I can share some knowledge with you how you can turn maybe a plantain into something, how turn a banana into something. Whatever you'd want to do, we can sit down. I remember there was a food scientist who said to me, we were in a conference, and he said, all you have to do is to play with it until you get it right.
wow. That's
That's
some real technical knowledge. Play with it until you get it
play
right.
with it.
But
Today,
was
you
he
do
right?
it today.
Was he
You,
right?
you do it today. It might not be how you have a goal where you want it to reach, right?
Right.
The taste and everything, the texture and everything. But the first time you might not get it right. But
Hmm.
you keep at it. You keep at it. You keep going until you get it right. And you will get it right once you're playing with it. The same thing I told you about the breadfruit. When I did it the first time and the second time, and I made some bakes and I found it had an aftertaste.
Hmm.
So what I did, I go back and I say, okay, let me use another technology
Yep.
alongside. And I started using that technology. And
Hmm.
when I grind it up and I organize it, all tastes disappear.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's what I'm telling you. You play with it until you get it
Hmm.
right.
Right. Right, right. And I think you have so much of a contribution to make to so many different areas of Dominica. Because again, with regards to engaging our young people, social media, right?
Yes, you're right.
Producing videos for promotions, producing
Right.
flyers for promotions. There is so many ways that if we just look at it as at a top down approach, right? So we have the integrated business plan, we have our brand, Nature Island Dominica, we have all the different sectors that we're looking at, and we're engaging our youth. I mean, I think we covered everything. Am I missing anything? I don't think
Agri
I'm
Agri entertainment.
agri entertainment. We can have, performers, and instead of just always going to the popular people, you can use it as a launching pad.
Right,
So
right.
you have young people who are interested in entertainment. I know Iola George is probably related to you. She's a
Yes,
wonderful
yes.
singer. I know her
Right.
mom is a Bannis, so I'm sure there's a
Yes.
connection. She's from Casa Bruce.
We are first cousin.
Um, and she has a beautiful voice.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
we don't hear her on the radio and we don't hear her on the stage. So this becomes an opportunity for the young people who are interested in music and entertainment to be on the stage and performing. And I even think you had mentioned something about writing a play.
Of course, I need to write a play.
Yes,
When I was in Barbados the last time that I started putting my thoughts together
yeah,
on that play, because what you want to do is to promote nutrition, is to promote
yes.
good practices in agriculture, promote food that people can eat and that can bring healing to their body. So
Mhm.
when we go back to what our parent to how the way our parents grew us, we have to recognize that these people, that's why they live so long,
Yes,
because they ate well and they did not used to use all that chemical, all that gromazone, all that pesticide and all that different things. I know so many men who died during the banana era of cancers because of they would just
right.
spray with the gromazone, smoke the cigarette, eat the food, eat. They do not wash their hands. And when you come and you talk to them, they will tell you, well, because I used to be an extension officer. And when you would share the dangers, they will tell you, man, they don't worry about that. What they
Mhm.
worry about is to get the pay packet. But then they are not there to enjoy the pay packet. So we have to ensure that we do not get another generation lost into that mindset that you can just eat anything. We
Mhm.
have to eat what is good and what is healthy, and then we can save ourselves from a lot of sicknesses and diseases.
Yeah, let me take this comment on Facebook. But Mr. Bannis, here's how I want to wrap up the conversation this night, to this evening, because you are a man with extensive knowledge, extensive experience in so many different areas, and I'm really truly thankful that you reached out and you said you wanted to be on this program, because I think you've added so much to our knowledge of, and understanding of what an integrated business development plan can look like for Dominica. But here is how I want to wrap up the conversation. So I want to give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Here we have all our eggs in one basket, pretty much 58% of the CBI, of our economy from the CBI. You, as a consultant, so let's speak hypothetically, right? If you were to advise the government of Dominica about how to expend some of those funds, what to invest in, based on everything that we've talked about, where should we be investing some of that money to grow the Dominican economy? So think about everything that we've talked about this evening and what needs the most amount of investments so that we can grow those particular sectors and have that development plan that we're talking about. So I want to give you a couple of minutes to think about it. But while you do, let me take a couple of comments from Facebook. So Pam says, I use a split pea flour to make, what is that? Pacaras? Okay, I'm not sure what that is, Pam, but thanks for sharing. There is a tea taste, but if you give the batter time to absorb your seasoning, there is no strong tea taste. Pea flour, PEA flour, is high in protein. You can make cakes with it and use it like wheat flour. Wow, Pam, thank you so much for that. Marshall, great to see you. He says, good evening, Dr. Simone, and best wishes to your guest. Here is a question which may be asked earlier. Is Mr. Banner supplying produce up here in the north, St. Martin, for example. And then Omar says, great question, Simone. So yes, let's answer that question first from Marshall. So do you supply produce to St. Martin? He was just curious.
Yes, I supply fresh produce and also chips. We have a new place that is open in St. Martin. I'm trying to get the name of the place. Let me see that. I'm trying to get the name of the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please do, because he sounds like he's interested.
Yes, in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so while Mr. Bannis is doing that again, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in to Roots Connections on Q. We have Mr. Adrien Bannis, and we're just looking at an integrated development plan based on what is currently going on in Dominica. Because while it is important that we talk about what should be done in so many areas and so many battles that we're facing, we also have to look at what is currently going on the ground, going on overseas with our Dominican brothers and sisters, and how can we put everything together to create that integrated development plan to move Dominica forward. So I just want to say a very special thank you for everyone who's joining us currently. Mr. Bannis?
Yes, they can get it at Care Ribbon Favorite Health Store in St. Martin.
Mm-hmm. Repeat that.
Okay. Care Ribbon Favorite Health Store in St. Martin.
All right. So, Marshall, I hope you got that. Now, are they also available on other islands?
Tropical Munch.
Tropical Munch. Any other islands where we can get your products?
No.
Okay.
Not that's the only place that we are in now. But we are trying to go into other outlets.
Okay, so it's a work in progress.
Yes.
Okay, so you remember the question? You're a consultant.
Yes.
You're consulting with the government of Dominica on where that 58% CBI revenue should be invested in everything that we talked about to create that developmental plan.
Well, it should be invested in agriculture. And not just cruise tourism, but they should also look at farm tourism, community tourism. I believe community tourism is an area where that can really help to boom the economy, because people will come to enjoy all what we have, the cuisine, the sceneries, the waterfalls. It will just be one pothole all according to the people. So this is an area where they need to invest in community tourism, agriculture, added value, ensuring that Dominica has one or two or three nice agro-processing plants that the people can go there and process whatever raw material that they have. Also, they have to invest in group farmers group to make sure the groups are well established. They have capacity building. They can do all the necessary things that they have to do in order to develop their agriculture. So these are some of the areas. Also, we have to look at a water bottling plant. Dominica, so much water, and we are not selling. Not even. I don't know why. Why we are not selling water in Dominica? I don't know why. It is just something that we that have been in the air for so long. So as I'm saying, we also have to look at the coconut industry, how we can develop the coconut industry, how we can develop the sweet potato industry. Sometimes we try to do is to develop the foreign things.
Yep.
Okay, and not the local traditional things that we have. And what we are doing, we are losing all our local species, and then we go into other species, and sometimes you are not getting the kind of returns that you would get normally, because if you have the local species that are it is accustomed with the environment, and then you can see how you can develop it. I mean, since I changed my whole method, my whole concept of farming, I have seen good results in farming. I may not have to say everything that I do, but I'm just saying the whole concept of farming. It comes with science. You have to farm with science. You cannot just farm and think, well, you only go in the school way alone. But you have to, traditional knowledge is very important. So we need to see more investment into agriculture, community tourism. We're looking at agro processing or added value, or we can have a few places where people can come and process their raw material into added value, and then we can export. So we are not only exporting
The
fresh
markets.
produce. Market is important. We have Guadeloupe there, Guadeloupe on one side, and we have Martinique on one side, and this is $1 million market. But we have to know how for us to tap into these markets.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
the importance of investing in technology, because we
right.
had Dr.
Technology.
Davidson Lloyd, and they were talking about the cocoa
Right.
project, and they talked about the importance of technology. So technology in farming.
Right.
Yeah, technology in farming. And again, we want to remind everyone that if you missed any portion of the program from tomorrow on Q95DA.com, so www.q95da.com, you'll be able to go on the website and catch the program from the beginning, or you can just go on Facebook at Push Past 10 or Q95 FM radio on Facebook and YouTube, and you will be able to catch a repeat of the program. So let's see. Talifa Charles says, very timely and important discussion. Hope the policy makers are listening. Yes, we truly hope that the policy makers are listening as well. And Mr. Bannis, we touched on everything, and I get the sense that you've thought of a way, because I think you're someone who lives no leaf unturned, no stone unturned. So I'm sure you've thought of a way to integrate sports into everything
Yes,
that
sports
you're
tourism.
doing. So
I
I'm
spoke
sure
of sports tourism. This is very, very,
ideas.
right now we have a lot of young people involved in football and cricket, and but what you find, sports is not like how it used to be in our days. When we were playing cricket, we would have large crowds there, and they would enjoy the game. The ladies would come and cook for us, and we would just enjoy. And that in itself is community tourism, because you have people from one village come in and play in another village, and now that is not being practiced. So we need to bring back these things to see how we can build community moral and community integration. I remember Paybush and Castle Bros had a good relationship. We would go every year to Paybush, and Paybush would come to Castle Bros, and would have people. And we had something that we call the village fair. It wasn't a feast, now they call it village feast. And Dominica, and the Caribbean becoming a land of CO. So
Yep, Roman
everything is
seafood.
a CO. And I don't know how they are managing with that kind of CO, that the kind of music that they are listening to. Anyway, this is part of the journey. But when you look at our people before, they would play dominoes together. They would integrate and have a good relationship. And we had the village fair, and at that village fair, we would showcase all our produce. And I remember my mom, when my mom did cake with breadfruit. She did wines with plantain and banana. She did a lot of stuff. And I was just reflecting on my mom, how my mom was really a good product developer, but I never took note of what she was doing. But I'm just beginning to recognize that seeing it and enjoying it, that now became a part of me.
And she was your inspiration.
Yes,
She
very
was
much.
your inspiration. So that is where you probably get your innovative ideas from. So, Mr. Bannis, again, I want to thank you so much for joining us and just giving us the fortitude to continue this program, because we see the important work that you and Dominicans in Dominica and around the world are doing to try to advance Dominica. So as we wind down the program, just let us know any final thoughts and any way anyone can get in touch with you. I believe you are Bannis Farms on Facebook. But if you have
Yes.
any information that you would like to share in terms of your contact information, I will go ahead and post it on Facebook if you let me know what it is.
All right. If you want to to share with me, or you want to just give me a call, you can call me at 1-767-245-1460. 245-1460. And you
Mhm.
can also reach me at Pastor Bannis at yahoo.com, all small caps. My number, you can WhatsApp me on that number. It's
Mhm.
my WhatsApp number also. And as I said, we have our Facebook page that you can reach out there. It's Bannis Farm Products.
Mhm.
So, if we can connect and we can network, we can see how we can work together, brainstorm. And if you're out there and you really want to maybe do something, or you want to get organized in something, don't be afraid. I'm always willing and ready to see how I can assist people to move forward, especially in agriculture.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm just posting your email address on here so that if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Pastor Bannis at, at yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Yes, so guys, thank you for being here and being a part of the conversation. All right, so here we go. So I just posted it in case anyone would be interested. So again, the phone number is 767-245-1460, and the email address is pastorbannis at yahoo.com. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. So again, I want to thank you for being a part of the program. Thank you for stopping by. I thank you to our audience on Q95 Radio, as well as Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. And so we will continue to feature the people, the projects, the initiatives geared towards moving Dominica forward, and just featuring everyone who's looking to turn their passion for Dominica into action for Dominica. Of course, we continue to support everyone who continues to fight the battles for electoral reform and all the other battles that we are fighting in Dominica. We look forward to being with you again in the next 2 weeks. I think we are back August 23rd with another engaging program on yet another group of people who are doing the work to move Dominica together. And again, if you would like to contact me because you too want to make a contribution to this program, you can reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com. So again, that is pushpast10@gmail.com. And to follow me in terms of everything that we continue to do, I am pushpast10 on Facebook and also pushpast10.com. So again, everyone, thank you for being here. Lambi, Showin, Shan, thank you for your support, Mr. G, the Q95 family. Thank you for this platform and the opportunity to share with the world all the important work that Dominicans at home and abroad continue to do. David Joseph, very interested and informative discussion as usual. Wishes for great success in the future. Blessed. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for your contribution. Mr. Bannis, we will stay in touch because I'm sure we
Yes.
will continue this conversation and we'll continue to feature your work and give you the support that you need as you continue to work to advance Dominica. So have a good night and thank you for being here. All right, take care.
All right. Thank you for having me. Good night, everyone. It's really a pleasure